with ABB since 2017 as the market manager for HVAC segment. I now request Ms. Prachi to please take over and introduce us to the session today. Over to you, Ms. Prachi.
Thank you, Nisha. Thank you for the introduction. So, good evening, everyone. Hope everyone is safe and doing well. And thank you for joining today's session on drives for tunnel ventilation system. I'll just share my screen. If Nisha, you can confirm it is visible.
Yeah, Prachi, it's visible.
That's great. Okay, so today's session is on drives for tunnel ventilation system. So agenda for today's session would be the tunnel ventilation system that we have for rails or metros. Then the second is the tunnel ventilation system for roads or the railway lines. So for the railway lines, we have this tunnel ventilations, which is tunnel system, which is drawn on the road. And then we will see how drives can benefit or how drives can support the tunnel ventilation requirements, this application requirements, how the customer can get benefited out of the drives. And towards the end, we will have a question and answer session. So coming to the tunnel system, so tunnel ventilation design and requirements of the tunnel, it majorly depends on different factors like what is the tunnel length, then the purpose of the tunnel, whether it is the road tunnel or metro tunnel. Also, the tunnel design, it can either be unidirectional or it can be bidirectional. Then the landscape surrounding environment also affects the tunnel ventilation design. That is, whether this tunnel is going to be underground tunnel, whether it is located in the city or it is located in the countryside, let's say mountain area. So these are the various factors which determines how the tunnel should be designed. Now, these tunnel ventilation system, it can be dual purpose, that is where it supplies the fresh air during normal situation, and then it extracts smoke and maintains evacuation route in case of fire. Now, the tunnel ventilation system can be single purpose, that is either it provides only fresh air or it can be only for extracting the smoke in case of fire. So there are various possibilities or various system designs which are possible for this application. But nonetheless, drives they offer control solutions for different tunnel ventilation types. We will talk more about this in the upcoming slides. Now, first coming to the metro tunnel ventilation system or rail tunnel ventilation system. So metro tunnel ventilation system, they have their own specific requirements. That is the ventilation depends on if it is a high performance underground system like metro subways with big number of passengers, or it is some sort of cut through railroad tunnel system through mountains, for example. Now, usually a natural ventilation in tunnels is ensured by the piston effect of moving trains, which changes the air pressure inside the tunnel and makes the air move. Now, talking about the high performance tunnel system like subways, the air conditioning is must for stations because there usually we have big number of passengers, very low concentration of oxygen. Plus, the moving trains, they generate lot of heat energy, and when braking is also applied on these trains, it also generates pollution. So because of this, good amount of air conditioning or efficient air conditioning is required in these kind of subway tunnels. Now, talking about the safety, the emergency ventilation is required for longer tunnels. Now, I would like to highlight here that for the rail tunnel system, the voltage range of 400 or 460 volt is most typical. It is not something that is applicable everywhere, but typically what we see is that for a metro tunnel ventilation system, the voltage range would be 400 volt or 460 volt. This is mainly because the metro tunnels, they have intermediate substations. Now I'll come to the next type of tunnel, that is the rail tunnel system. So, and we'll talk about the application aspect. So usually the ventilation is organized in a way that there are several ventilation air supply shafts, and then there are exhaust shafts. And the ventilation is organized in a way that the fresh air, it enters the station, and the exhaust air, it leaves the station from the portal of the tunnel where it is extracted through the exhaust shaft. Now, in case of a fire, the ventilation in the tunnel, it must ensure, first of all, safe evacuation of the passengers. Next is the access to this fire location for the fire brigade. Now, it should also ensure that the proper path for fire propagation is provided so that the fresh air would not be fed right into the fire, making it even worse, because fire is the worst enemy when oxygen is the worst enemy in case of a fire situation. So in case of fire in the train, it first of all aims to get out of the tunnel or to the platform for the passengers evacuation. Safe areas are then provided on the stations by increasing the air pressure in those stations so that the smoke from the tunnel will not be able to enter the pressurized station and stay in the tunnel where the fire is ongoing. Another thing to highlight here is that once the evacuation is ended, the pressurization air supply stops so that it wouldn't make the fire situation even worse, and the exhaust fans, it can start moving even more faster in order to remove the smoke. So first is, it is like your safe evacuation of the passengers. That is the first criteria. Next is, you have to ensure that the smoke from inside the room, it is from inside the platform, it is slowly increased, like the speed of the motor is slowly increased to remove the smoke from inside the platform. And third is, so that to provide easy access to the fire brigade, so that the fire brigade personnel, they can access the area which is affected, and then they can bring the situation under control. Now, next type of road tunnel system, ventilation system, which I want to talk about is the road tunnel ventilation system. Now, about road tunnels. Now, they have their, metros have their own specific needs in case, because there are passengers who would be occupying the platform, then there is train which is coming in and going out, and it is a subway, so proper air conditioning has to be maintained, because passengers would also be occupying that area, like they would be stranded in that area, standing in those areas. Now, in case of road tunnels, they also have their own specific needs. The road tunnel ventilation design, it depends as well on the tunnel lengths, but the considerations are a bit different. Usually, it is said that for a tunnel which is 500 meters long, natural ventilation, it is sufficient. Now, when it comes to emergency ventilation, then the tunnel length at which we have to have active emergency ventilation, it starts from 150 meters. And about the voltage ranges, usually road tunnel ventilation system, it runs on a 690 volt, due to the fact that the substations are located at the beginning and end of the tunnel. So higher voltages is required in order to avoid losses related to current. Again, this voltage range which I have specified here, it is not something you will find in every road tunnel application or every road tunnel project, but in most of the cases, since the length of the road tunnel is higher enough and the substations cannot be located inside the tunnel, they are either on the either side of the tunnels. So that is the reason usually road tunnel ventilation system will have higher voltage range in order to avoid the losses in current. Now, talking more about the road tunnel ventilation system, different designs are possible. So now we will talk about the longitudinal ventilation system, road tunnel ventilation system, where the air is blown through this tunnel. So as you can see, these are the jet fans. So you have fresh air, and through this tunnel, the air is blown and the exhaust air is removed from the other side of the tunnel. Now, the ventilation intensity, it depends on various factors, such as the concentration of exhaust fumes inside this tunnel, also the particulate matter which is present inside the tunnel. So these things are important, because visibility inside the tunnel should be good, where the your passengers are driving the vehicles. So visibility inside the tunnel has to be good. Also, it is important to remove the volatile organic compound to provide good visibility. Now, in some cases, we also have to maintain specific temperature inside the tunnel, which is again important in case if there is any technical person who is working inside the tunnel system. Because in a road tunnel, you won't be having passengers who would be standing inside the tunnel. However, in case if there is any technical work which is going on and there are people like technicians who are working inside the tunnel, then definitely we have to ensure that the environment inside the tunnel is suitable for, at least human safety point of view, for in order to enable them to work comfortably by providing proper temperature and ventilation. So because of that, the temperature control inside the tunnel also becomes important. Kindly request everyone to mute their mic. Thank you. Now, talking about fire conditions inside a road tunnel, the strategy for the emergency ventilation, it depends very much on the tunnel system design. Now, for this longitudinal tunnel ventilation system, the smoke is blown through the tunnel and we have to be very careful. First of all, we have to ensure the safety of the tunnel user, and for this reason, we cannot extract smoke in the intense way, like you just increase the speed of the fan and just like exhaust all the fumes from inside the tunnel. That cannot happen because we have users or passengers who are stuck inside the tunnel. So from the very beginning, we have to start the fans at a very low speed so that the smoke stratification would be maintained and the tunnel users would be able to evacuate under the smoke layer. So there is a smoke layer, and from under that, the smoke users can evacuate under this. And this is very important moment because here we talk about fans changing the speed along the fire development. That is, the fire is increasing and the speed of the fans is also changing according to that. Now, once the tunnel users, they evacuate, we can then intensify the ventilation and really start blowing the smoke out of the tunnel so that this can provide the fire brigade easy access to the fire location and help them put down the fire. So this was about in case if there is a fire condition inside the road tunnel system and how we take care of controlling the fire condition. Now that was about designs we have and different types of designs for metros and road tunnels. Now I will move on to what are the drive features that can, and how does a drive, adding a drive in tunnel ventilation system, it will help the application or it will help the customer to, with a most efficient design. So first and foremost, technology or the technique which is important from the tunnel ventilation perspective is the braking. Braking means the time when your motor has to stop or the fan has to stop in a very short duration of time, because as we saw that whenever there is a fire, if you can see these two pictures, in a normal condition, your fresh air is entering inside the tunnel and exhaust air is going from the other direction. But in case of fire, the direction of fan has reversed, because here you want to exhaust the smoke from inside the tunnel. So you have to change the direction of fan. So the same fan which was acting as a fresh air supply, the same fan is now rotating in reverse direction and it is helping to remove the fan from inside the tunnel. Now, what happens is for this, the fan has to be stopped and then restarted in reverse direction in a very short duration. So the stopping of the fan in a very short duration is called as braking action. So braking is something that is very much essential with any tunnel ventilation application. Now there are three different kinds of braking technology which is possible. First is called as magnetic flux braking. The second is called as resistor braking, and third is called as reactive braking or regenerative braking. So coming to the magnetic flux braking. So magnetic flux braking, it might eliminate. So first, in case of resistor braking, what happens is you are adding a braking chopper and a braking resistor. So this ensures that whatever is the reverse energy which is generated, it is dissipated across the braking resistor, and this is how it is the braking technique is implemented. And the third, which is the active braking or regenerative braking, it means that the braking energy is converted back to electricity and it is supplied back towards the source. Now, just looking at the graphical representation or how exactly is magnetic flux braking different from braking resistor. So flux braking, it can eliminate the need for braking resistor, which would be the additional equipment that will be connected along with the drives. Now, in case if we talk about the low inertia system, where it is possible to brake the fan in a short time, then the flux braking, it provides deceleration by increasing the motor magnetization. and basically it converts your mechanical braking energy to heat energy. Now, in this case, it is essential to know that the motor here, it acts as some sort of resistor. So in this case, it is important to understand the cooling requirements of motor, and if it is possible to implement the flux braking with this particular motor. And of course, then there, the limitation of flux braking is time. That is, if we need to stop the fan within a short duration of time, that is 30 seconds. Now, in most of the tunnel ventilation system, 30 seconds is the most stringent time, like braking time, which would be required. So if you require to stop the fan within this short duration of time of 30 seconds, so 30 seconds means within 30 seconds, your motor which is running, or the fan which is running in forward direction, within 30 seconds, it has to stop, it has to come to zero, and then reverse back in the reverse direction. So all this stopping and then going back to full speed in reverse direction, it has to happen in 30 seconds, which is a very short duration of time considering the high inertia fans in a tunnel ventilation system. So for this, if because of the time limit or because of the time requirement, in most of the cases, it is the flux braking might not be the relevant solution. So in this case, if the time period required is really very small, then it makes sense that we consider a brake chopper and a brake resistor system or a regenerative drive for braking purpose. So how it functions is that your brake chopper, it provides path for the energy from the DC capacitors and dissipate them across the brake resistor. So braking means energy is generated, or a back EMF is generated from motor towards the source side. So in the reverse direction, this back energy, it flows through the inverters. Inverters will have free wheel diodes. Through the free wheel diodes, it will be charging your DC capacitor, and from DC capacitor, these energy, the back energy, will be dissipated through brake chopper, and across the brake chopper we will have braking resistor, and across this brake resistor, in the form of heat, this back energy is dissipated. Now there is third option, the third method of braking which we talked about, that is the active or regenerative braking. Now we will see what are the advantages of having the regenerative braking compared to your traditional braking with brake resistor. Now in case of braking, the brake resistors, you have to ensure that the air conditioning of the cabinet where the drive is installed, and of course it causes higher project cost, both investment cost as well as operational cost. Because in case of brake resistor, you have to ensure cooling of the cabinet where the drive and brake resistor is installed. As I had mentioned that in case of brake resistor and brake chopper arrangement, your braking energy is dissipated in the form of heat over here. So if a heat is eliminated, or if it is dissipated in a room where you, air conditioned room where you have installed this VFD panel, then the heat loss across the brake resistor also have to be taken into consideration. It also has to be factored in when the air conditioning of the complete panel room is calculated. And because of that, your air conditioning size will increase. Air conditioning size increases means your initial investment cost increases. So these factor also has to be taken into consideration. Again, as you know that the control rooms in tunnels, they usually have limited available space. And often one of the project consideration is that your solution should be compact. Now, when we talk about regenerative drives, these drives where everything comes in one package, it does decrease the installation footprint, and which is like extra benefit. Plus, we do not need to have a cabinet in case if we have wall mounted drives, and thus it also decreases your installation cost. Now, what happens in case of a regenerative drive, if I talk about this? So here, if you can, I'll just go back to this diagram once again. So here we have this brake resistor unit, and across this your DC, your back EMF is dissipated. Now in case of a regenerative drive, we will not have this brake chopper and brake resistor arrangement. So in the rectifier section of the regenerative drives, there will be IGBTs. So in case of braking, the back energy, it crosses through this rectifier section, and it is converted back to electricity and fed back to the system. Now the same electricity, same energy which was earlier wasted in the form of heat energy, the same energy can be converted to electricity and it can be utilized to run your other applications. So that is, in a way, it gives energy saving as well. Now, talking about the installation footprint reduction, as I was mentioning, in most of the tunnel ventilation system, the amount of space available to install the complete solution would be very less, and that is where the customer, they prefer the compact solution. And this is where again the regenerative drives would provide one of the other benefit. So as you can see here, the different braking solutions, and you can see the difference of a traditional brake resistor versus a regenerative solution. Up to 85% of space saving can be achieved with a regenerative drive. And of course, it is not only about the space, but also about various other factors like your engineering effort. So wherein you have to design the cabinet or you have to put all the components together, which is very time consuming. Also the installation work which needs to be done with which again adds to the final project cost. And again, your equipment cost, that is more complex solution is the most expensive. Usually it is more expensive, and this is again something to be considered because you are adding more equipments over here. So along with drive, you add a braking chopper, a braking resistor, then a panel to mount all those solutions. Compared to that, if you are having a regenerative drive, it is like all-in-one solution. So that was about the braking, which is again one of the major requirement for tunnel ventilation application. This is the application requirement. Now, talking about one more feature, that is flying start. This is again one more important feature which is usually required in a tunnel ventilation system. Now, usually there would be wind present inside the tunnel. Now, in this case, if the fans are not running, then they might start freewheeling. Now, if we need to start the ventilation fan, then there might be issues in case if the motor control solution, it does not support the flying start. So flying start is again one of the important application functions which a VFD can provide, and it is very much essential when we talk about the ventilation fan. Now basically the flying start, it allows to catch the fan on fly without stopping it first. So if we talk about some emergency situation where the ventilation needs to kick in as soon as possible. So let's say the fan was in stop condition, and because of the wind present inside the tunnel, it was freewheeling, and it was freewheeling at a speed of 25 hertz. Now there is an emergency situation which has happened, and we need to start the fan. Now instead of first letting the fan to stop from 25 hertz and then go back to zero, and from zero again restart it back to 50 hertz, what we can do is with the catch on fly or the flying start function of the drive can catch that particular mechanical frequency of 25 hertz, and it can restart the fan right from 25 hertz to 50 hertz. So it will give a quick response to your emergency needs. Also the flying start, it mitigates mechanical stress which is caused by breaking the fan motor first. In case if the drives are without flying start feature, then it might experience electrical stress related to overcurrent when the drive it tries to catch and is not able to catch the load. So the flying start is implemented in a way that the motor control program, it identifies the magnetic flux, the mechanical state of the motor, and then it is able to start the motor from the position where it is at that moment or at that current frequency. So this is where the flying start function of the drive, it plays a major role in a tunnel ventilation system. Now, next and foremost important thing in a tunnel ventilation system is your fireman's override function. So this is again because tunnel ventilation system, it plays a major role whenever there is emergency condition in case of that is in terms of fire condition. So you might say that this feature is present in almost every drive. Yes, almost most of the drives they have in the market today, they do support this fireman's override function, but we also have to pay more attention to how this feature is actually implemented. That is again important based on your project requirement or based on how the system is designed. Now, basically, override is about running the motor until the destruction, ignoring different kinds of warnings and faults related to motor performance, and provide in case of emergency condition, provide the best possible solution. So why do we say fireman's override function is required, or what exactly it does? So first is like in case of fire, the maximum casualties or maximum casualties that happen is not because of the fire, but because not exactly because of the fire, but because of smoke. Because smoke is nothing but carbon monoxide, and it is not good for the humans. So in case of fire, it is essential that the drives which are connected on your motors, it should constantly run the motor in a desired frequency, irrespective of the any motor motor faults. Let's say, for example, over temperature. In case of fire, we know that the temperature of the room or the temperature of the ventilation area, the tunnel system, it is definitely bound to increase. However, the drive should not trip on over temperature fault in order to protect the motor. But in this case, it should constantly run the motor. Even if both the motor and your drive is damaged, it is still acceptable, but the human safety should not be compromised. And that is where first function of the override function plays, how it plays is that it will by default, it will disable all your secondary faults. So when I say secondary fault is fault which will not cause any other major problems. Let's say over temperature fault. Even if that is disabled, it will not lead to any other issues. But if in case if there is any short circuit, then definitely in fire condition, the short circuit fault is not acceptable because it will again aggravate your fire. So if there is some, these kinds of, these are called as primary fault. So in case if there is any primary fault, then the drive is designed to still trip the system. Now, what is the coming back to the benefit of override mode? So how is it benefit is first is like the seamless shift from your normal mode to override mode, and also back, because when we talk about these kind of emergency systems, very often the instance happens, and in case if the override mode is implemented, it should recover as soon as the situation is resolved, because the tunnel operator is interested in getting back to normal operation after the situation as soon as possible. So that is first. Second, another highlight is multiple speeds during the override condition. So if you remember, we were talking about the longitudinal tunnel ventilation system, where we need to run the fans at different speed. That is very low speed in the beginning when the evacuation of the passengers is happening. And once the evacuation phase is completed, then we start extracting the smoke at the maximum speed. So, so in order to achieve these kind of design requirements, the override function should support multiple speeds. And last but not the least is ability to change the direction of rotation of fan, because very often in the tunnels, the jet fans that are used, they are basically bidirectional fan, which means that during a normal condition, it will supply fresh air inside the tunnel, and in case of emergency, it will give that extra flexibility, and this same fan can be used to extract the smoke from inside the tunnel. So thus the drive, it should be able to change the fan direction during the override mode, and as well as support multiple speeds. Now, this was about the fireman override mode, which is again one of the important feature to be considered for a tunnel ventilation system. Now, coming to the voltage drop or the available voltage, which are at the motor terminal. So this is again very important aspect now, because what happens is usually the tunnel ventilation system, it will have longer cable lengths, your transformer and the location of the transformer, and the VFD panel or the control room panel, it is very far away, and this the cable length would be very long, and long cable lengths, it can cause voltage drop. So that is where the voltage boost functions, which are available with the regenerative drives or active front-end drives, it plays a major role in tunnel ventilation system. Now, active front-end drives, they are capable of boosting the output voltage up to 10%, thereby ensuring that the full motor voltage is available. Now, why is it important is again from the safety aspect. When we dimension the smoke extraction unit, it is important that we will be able to extract the smoke in case of fire and operate at its maximum load. But how to compensate this voltage drop due to longer cable lengths? Because in a standard 6-pulse drive, the voltage that is available at the input terminal, approximately same voltage would be available at the motor terminal. Let's say at the input terminal, at the input side of the drive, in a standard 6-pulse drive, the available voltage is 370 volt. The same 370 volt would be available at your motor terminal. But in case of active front-end drive or the regenerative drive, which has this voltage boost functions, even if the voltage at the input terminal of the drive is dropped to 370 volt, at the output terminal, we can still get 400 volt thanks to this voltage boost function. So it gives the advantage of running the motors, first of all, in the network where there is voltage is below the motor nominal voltage and when the longer cables are needed. So it helps to compensate this voltage drop. And since we are able to maintain same level of voltage at the motor terminal, the current, because as your voltage reduces, your current increases. So if we are able to maintain a constant voltage, means the constant current to the motor terminal is also ensured, and this will only increase the life of your motor. So it also so these are the benefits when we are choosing AFE drive, that is the active front-end drive, that they may also help us to choose a smaller motor as the voltage is at its nominal level and lesser current is needed. This is again a design factor, so design, like part of design criteria, which can be considered if required to optimize the complete system. Now, the same philosophy, it applies also when the network is fluctuating, when there is voltage fluctuation in the network, and we need to run the ventilation system continuously. The voltage fluctuation, it might actually prevent this process from being continuous, and this is where again the active front-end drive, even in the network with voltage fluctuation, it is able to deliver the desired motor voltage to the application regardless of the voltage fluctuation which is happening at the input side. So that was about one more additional benefit that the application can get whenever there is a regenerative drive in the system. And again, the best benefit of having a regenerative drive is ultra low harmonics. So these regenerative drives, they, along with the regeneration and the other benefit, the regeneration, the lesser installation space or voltage boost function, and your fireman's override function, the flying start. In addition to this, it also gives lower harmonics. So at the input side, the harmonics can be maintained to 3% without any additional filter. So it is like a all-in-one package solution. You can say, we can also call it as a fit and forget kind of solution, because everything that is needed by or required by a tunnel ventilation application, it is built into this particular drive. So, and thereby it also, it gives better harmonics, cleaner network, it ensures clean network supply, and again the lesser installation space, and it also complies to all the harmonic standard. With 3%, it also ensures that with respect to drive, the IEEE 519 standard can be maintained at the point of common coupling. So putting all the values together, talking about all the values together with a regenerative drives for tunnel ventilation system, the operational cost can be optimized without compromising the tunnel operation continuity. This can be achieved by when we have a regenerative drive. So what are the KPIs of AFE drive when it comes to tunnel ventilation system? First is, like we talked about, regenerative energy. That is, in these applications, the huge amount of energy, which is the back energy, which is generated, it can be converted and supplied back to the system, and it can be utilized for running some other application. In addition to to this energy saving, due to the there are other operational benefits, that is at reduced speed when we are able to run the motor based on the requirement, then the additional energy saving can also be achieved. Then we have low harmonics. So these drives, it also provides lower harmonics, approximately 3%. And thus with that, from the drive's perspective, it complies to IEEE 519 standard as well. Then we have voltage boost function. So this helps to maintain full voltage at the motor terminal, irrespective of the voltage at the input side of the drive. So this is very useful, especially for longer cable length, as in case of tunnel ventilation system, and even with the weaker power network. Then we have override modes in this drives. So this keeps the motor running in case of any emergency situation, in case of any fire situation, ignoring all the interlocks and alarms warnings, including overheating temperature warning. Then it is again a compact design. It helps in reduction, like amount of space which is required in order to install this solution. That is really very less when we go for a regenerative drive. It cuts your project cost. It also adds the additional benefit in case your benefits like the installation cost required, or the amount of time which is required to install the solution. Even that would be reduced when we are having a regenerative drive. So that's it from my side, and I hope I could explain what is the tunnel ventilation system and the benefits of drives on this application. So now we are open for question and answer session. Okay, I can see a few questions in the chat box. Okay, first question is, in a critical application like metro tunnel ventilation, in the event of fire, how do we ensure that the drives are up and running, and how many hours will drive continue to run in such high operating temperature? So yeah, great question. So these drives, in case of fire, so yes, I agree that in case of fire, the temperature is going to increase, and certain manufacturers, they have done testing up to 70 degrees centigrade, whether these drives they are capable of running continuously. So those kind of tests are already performed in order to ensure that the drive solution, whatever is being provided to the customer, it is capable of delivering all the features at the desired temperature in case of fire condition. Similarly, there are special motors called as smoke extract motors, which are again capable of running continuously in case of fire condition. So yes, this is one of the critical point which needs to be considered whenever we are selecting the drives and motors for the tunnel ventilation system. And the how do we ensure regarding the drives are up and running? See, these drives, they would be continuously running. Let's say if it is a bidirectional system, wherein the drive is continuously running the ventilation fans in a normal condition, but emergency situation has happened, then the same drive will run the jet fan in reverse direction. So it is like during the normal condition only these drives are up and running and the performance is still there. But regarding the temperature question, I have to say it is a very good question, and just to give this input, not all the drives available with the manufacturers would support this requirement. There would be certain specific drives which are intended for metro applications or these kind of tunnel applications. Testing is already performed those drives, so there would you can ask for test certificates from the OEMs or the vendors who are supplying those drives, and that is like a proof that okay, whatever drive is being offered, it can run in those operating conditions, the high operating conditions in a fire conditions of tunnel. Then next is, what will be sequenced action followed when the drive trips in one of the primary fault? So in case if there is a primary fault, then definitely to protect the overall system, your drive will trip, and then in that case the DTC controller will take over. So basically there would be a bypass starter which will be in bypass to this drive. In case if the drive has tripped, like worst condition, we consider that the occurrence of primary fault is situational. It is not something that is bound to happen every time there is a fire condition. But we say there was some unfortunate situation and the primary fault has occurred, and in that case the drive has to trip. Then it will go into bypass mode, so that the fan which is controlling the jet fan, that the motor which is controlling the jet fan, it is still operational. In that case it will run at the full speed. So like I was mentioning for the longitudinal tunnel, if you remember, that initially the fan has to start from slow speed, and once the passengers have evacuated, the speed is increased. So probably those kind of control will not be available if unfortunately the drive trips at the very starting moment. But in case if the drive trips in the later moment where the passengers have already evacuated, then in that case anyways, if the fan runs at full speed, that is what is the desired operation. And in case if the drive has tripped at that moment, then it can go to the bypass mode, bypass starter, and run the fan at full speed, and then still the evacuation can be it can be continued.
Prachi, I read out the next question for you.
Yeah.
Why only regenerative drives to be used in tunnel ventilation?
Okay, good question, sir. So it is not that only regenerative drives can be used. We can also go for a standard 6-pulse drive with the brake resistor and brake chopper system. So even those drives are very much capable of delivering whatever is the required. So why regenerative is better? So regenerative drives, I would say it is better than going for a standard 6-pulse drive with the brake resistor and brake chopper arrangement. Reason being, in a regenerative drive, whatever you are regenerating, the regenerating energy which you would be dissipating as heat energy in a brake resistor, the same energy, instead of wasting it, you can convert it back to electricity and feed back to the system. So this is one benefit advantage of having regenerative drive. Second is, lesser space would be required when you are going for a regenerative drive, because in a standard 6-pulse drive with brake resistor arrangement, you would require additional panel and additional space to mount the braking resistor. But in case of a regenerative drive, that can be eliminated. Third is the heat energy which is lost, which is dissipated in the brake resistor. So that in order to dissipate that, take care of that heat energy, your air conditioning has to be oversized. The air conditioning of the panel room has to be oversized. But in case of regenerative drive, as you do not have a heat loss in the form of brake across the brake resistor, and the same heat loss is converted to electricity, the air conditioning size of the panel room can be reduced. So that is again one commercial benefit which the customer can get. Next is the voltage boost function. So in tunnel application, what happens is usually the cable lengths would be longer, and longer cable length, it can cause voltage drop at the input terminal. In a standard 6-pulse drive, you cannot get the voltage boost function. But with a regenerative drive, even voltage boost function can be available for the application. And along with that, the other benefits of other like functions, that is flying start or be it the communication protocol. So those features will also be available with the regenerative drive. So it is not the only solution, but yes, it is not the only solution, but it is the better solution when we talk about the tunnel ventilation system.
Okay, thank you. The next question is, what is the maximum temperature rating of the motor?
So for a smoke extract motor, I'll have to re-verify this once again, but the value which I can remember is 70 degree centigrade, but I can get it re-verified and I can share this detail with you, sir.
Okay. The next question is, what is the maximum cable length that is possible with the regenerative drives?
So you can go up to 300 meters, and from ABB, we have also seen up to 300 meters without choke. Now, by adding choke, you can further increase it to 50 or 100 meters. For some of the ratings, higher ratings, even up to 500 meters, it will still run. So those testing are also done, especially when it comes to this metro and tunnel ventilation system.
Okay. And the last question is, how about any such harmonic controlling status during the fire mode?
Okay, in case of fire mode, so since it is a regenerative drive, it will ensure that, or since it is like regenerative plus your low harmonic drive. Even in case of fire, it will still ensure that your harmonics is controlled. But considering the fact that the emergency situation is a very temporary situation and it is not something that will be, available for a very longer duration. So once the emergency situation is cleared, it will be again back and running as a ultra low harmonic drive. So considering that fact, even if there is a small spike in harmonics during the very small duration of time, it will not make much of an impact during the continuous operation. Having said that, it will still, since it is a regenerative drive, it will still be ensuring lower harmonics even in the even in the emergency situation.
Okay, I think we've addressed all the questions. Thank you, Prachi, on behalf of ISRE Bangalore chapter for this wonderful session. It's always a pleasure to have you with us and doing a session for us. And I think we've completed the session also ahead of time. So thank you very much again on behalf of all of us at Bangalore.
Thank you, Nisha, for giving me this opportunity. Thank you so much.
Yeah, wishing everybody a very good evening. Stay safe. Thank you.
Stay safe. Thank you, everyone.